Okay, we are all set. Fine. See the navigation, everything we'll discuss it later. At this moment, one simple, see here, I just copy paste this one, whatever I copied here, right? Just go here in the operating system and copy it, because this is common to all. So this is, you probably note it down, right? This is how you need to, for example, you don't have access to, or the cloud, the Azure cloud is down, right? So in that case, you don't have to rely on the Azure cloud. And sometimes if you think you don't have, let's say if you don't have internet connection at your home, right? Or some issues happen. So if you install it in a local laptop, locally, the Anaconda Python, it will be easier, right? You don't have to have net connection. And in case of any issues in accessing Microsoft Azure website due to this temporary issue, right, it will be helpful for you to practice it in your local system. If you install it anything in a local system, it will be always good, right? So let's say in this case, if you install it locally, you need to use this IP address, and then, for example, here I wanted to try, let me do one thing directly, right? I just wanted to. So if you see star along with this cell, that means it is in. Look here. It says function dir, right? So it thinks that it is Python thing. If you use colon directly, that means a DOS command, right? It goes and check all the files. See, for Microsoft, see this is Microsoft. See, though Microsoft or Azure, they are using Anaconda distribution of Python. But still they made some customization, right? So if you use DW, it will work, right? So PWD without giving question mark. But the thing is, you have to use question mark, okay, if you won't do anything on the cloud.
Okay.
All right, 1 second, let me, okay, here, where is, this one is not there, okay. It got crashed. PWD gives me the current working directory, home user library, it is not there, home NB user library, it is not there. Anyhow, in the interest of time, I am going to re-upload it, it will not take much time. Start upload. So now what you need to note down this one, copy it, because this is, so now you uploaded the file from your local system to cloud, right? So copy this folder name, because this folder name is different, okay, from the Windows folder name. In Windows we specify D:, C:. In Linux you don't have to specify like this. So here NB user. Anyhow, while it is being uploaded, you need to, once it gets uploaded, you need to copy it. That's all. Yeah, this is what I was trying to tell you. For example, if you wanted to know what all the commands are available, right? So just type the data frame name and type dot, press tab. Right? Okay, it will give you the column name, and see column name and also commands also it gives, right? ilocate, last, and mod, and what are the things that you can do it with this, it can give you, okay. And sometimes main, for example, right, so you can use main, right, so you can see this, okay, fine. So any questions regarding the pandas data frame? Last weekend we discussed it. Sorry, last Sunday there was an issue with my good GTM ID, and even with my cable connection, I was not able to log in. So today we will continue with the data visualization part. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so we'll continue with the data visualization part. So what is the data visualization? Data visualization is a general term. It's something like, right, you might have heard about this adage. A picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So data visualization is a general term. It describes any effort to help people understand people in the sense, right, we, the stakeholders, business stakeholders or data scientists, analysts, to understand the significance of data by placing it in visual context, right? Visually, when we look at it, we will tend to get more insights when you look at the charts or anything, right? Instead of looking at, see, nowadays we are getting volumes and volumes of data, petabytes and above volume of data. So if you have a bar plot, irrespective of the size of your data, so you will get a quick insight in a matter of seconds. Especially now, most of the companies started using big data Hadoop, right? So Hadoop is much faster. You can process millions and terabytes of data, even petabytes of data in a matter of jiffy. Okay. So with the help of the charts, bar plots like violin plot, box plot, the histograms, by visualizing these charts, we'll try to understand the patterns, underlying patterns in the humongous amount of data in a matter of seconds or in a matter of few minutes, right? You'll be able to gain quick insight, right? You'll be able to get the gist of what this entire data is all about. Patterns, trends and correlations, right, that might go undetected in unstructured data, right, text-based data, right, text-based data, or even with the normal data, right, sometimes when you look at manually the data, you may not be able to find out the correlation because of the huge volume of the data. Even if the volume of the data is moderate, due to oversight, you might tend to miss out certain patterns and trends on correlation within the data, right? So in order to understand, recognize the patterns and trends in the data in a shorter span of time, right, we will be using data visualization. Now many softwares available for data visualization, like Tableau is one of the, so they are the leader in the data visualization space. And apart from this, we have ClickView and other data visualization softwares are available, but it is not open source, right? It involves some kind of cost. Right? Customers are now, even American customers are very particular about using open source softwares, and also they wanted to see whether this software is very robust or not, right? So can this software work at scale? Right? Can it scale? Is it scalable or not? Right? So in that way, the open source software itself far better. Right? So the data visualization, it enables the decision makers to see the analytics presented visually, right? So that they can grasp difficult concepts or identify new patterns in no time. Right? So why is it really important? Why is it really important, the data visualization? As I told you, right, when you use charts or graphs to visualize the humongous amount of data, or especially the complex data, right, it is easier than poring over the spreadsheets or reports, because human brain perceives, right, understands and grasps visuals better. We are more used to visuals, right? When you look at the charts, we'll be able to gain quick insight, quickly, right? Quickly and faster, right? We can grasp the insights faster than the numbers or tables or alphabets when you look at it. Supposing somebody is presenting that, table or Excel sheet, the data, right? Difficult to interpret, especially when you have huge volume of data. So the visualization is a quick and easy way to convey concepts in universal manner also, right? Even the data scientists, data analysts, they will be able to gain the insight quickly, and at the same time, if they wanted to convey the messages to all the stakeholders, or to explain them in a shorter span of time with more insights, this is very much helpful, right? So the visualization can help us to identify that need areas of improvement, right? Clarify which factors influence. For example, in the case of banking or retail, right, which factors influence customer behavior. For example, if I give 10% discount or 20% discount, right, whether discount has any influence on customers' behavior, right? So those kind of things we can find out with the help of visualization also. and also it helps us to understand which product to place here, right? And also product sales volumes. We wanted to see the sales volumes or sales trends in all aspects is really good, right? And even from the data analyst or data scientist point of view, if you want to find out the data related issues, right, a lot of visualizations are available. With that you will be able to quickly find out or pinpoint where the data issue is there. For example, missing data is there, right? There are some packages that are available using which you can plot the data. Visually also you can look at it, right, where the data are not in which portion of the data has missing values. And also if you want to find out the correlation amongst the variables, right, how do I find out, right? By visually looking, we have something called pair plot. Using pair plot you can find out all the quantitative variables, right? See all the quantitative variables, especially the independent variables, how those variables are correlated with my dependent variable. All these things are possible in a matter of with less effort. With less effort you can make out which all features are correlated, how well it got correlated, right? You can easily make out. 1 second, let me make sure that this is not closed. So that's the whole idea of using performing the data visualization. So we call that as exploratory data analysis. What we do is we use charts. Using charts we'll try to identify where the problem is, how we can fix those problems, right? First let us try to understand what are the types of charts that are available. Okay, so we have something called the bar plot. Bar plot, all of you are available, right? So, or all of you are aware of that bar plot. And what is this one, a bar plot, pie chart, and a scatter plot, right? Today we'll discuss about these kind of charts, when we are supposed to use what kind of chart, right? And again, as part of since most of you are data scientists here except few, right? And you should be knowing how to perform univariate analysis, right? Histogram, how to plot histogram, and what is density plot. All these things we will take a look at it. And anyhow, today we'll use some simple case study. With that we will try to understand how to perform data visualization, and also we'll try to understand what is the core objective of performing the data visualization, and what was the takeaway messages for us at the end of this exercise. Okay, alright. Okay, now what we will do is we'll open some other thing now. And again, for pandas, lot of assignments are there, and you can try with I'll share the link, everything. After this session or so, you can start work on it. Okay, we'll start one new notebook. Python 3.6. Sorry. I think it got closed. Yeah, it got created now. I just opened this file, data visualization.ipynb. So as usual, I'm going to import all the necessary package, numpy as np. So the as np is the alias. Okay, instead of typing the entire name, right, I'm going to use some alias. Import pandas as pd, and import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Import cbond as sns. See, these two are numpy and pandas. Numpy stands for numerical Python. This package has some limitation. So what they did, they developed a package called Pandas. Who developed? There is a guy by the name of Mudwedney. Okay, Mudwedney. He is the one developed this package because he could not perform SQL-like operation. Okay, Pandas is an extension of NumPy. If you want to perform any data analysis, aggregation, or group by anything, right? You can do it with ease using Pandas package, right? So this is an extension of NumPy. Okay, and the next one is these two are data visualization package. Okay, and next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something like percentage matplotlib inline. Okay, so what is percentage? It's a magic command, right? It's a magic command. That means this chart, whatever the chart that you are going to plot it using these packages, right? It will be plotted inside this notebook itself. Otherwise, what will happen is these two will get displayed outside. See, now I can see some warning, right? I don't want this warning also to be displayed. Import warnings and warnings dot filter warnings. Ignore. If you don't, yeah, let's wait for some time because it is in progress. Star. If you find star along with this cell on the left side, that means these commands are being executed. We have to wait for some time. Okay. And next one is anyhow, yeah, it got executed. See, now look at now. See, the warnings were not displayed here. Now my notebook looks so clean, right? So next one is what I'm going to do is plt.plot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some values 3, 4, 6, okay, and I'm going to use something like 8, 10, 12. Yeah, instead of this one, let me give 14 here, right? 14 here. This is simple plot, okay? Simple plot. 3, 4, 6, 3, 4, 6 on the x-axis and y-axis 8 and 14. Okay, you can see it. So now what I'm going to do is, this is not very clear, right? This is not very clear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to specify explicitly which one is x-axis and which one is y-axis. Okay. So for example, I'm going to copy paste this one in the interest of time. I'm not going to waste too much of time. X equal to 3, 4, 6. And if you want to type more than one command in a single line, right, you need to separate the statement, each statement by semicolon here. Y equal to 8, right, this x, or for clarity purpose, right, why to type everything in single line. Look here, now I'm going to do plt dot plot. What is this plt? Vijay, what is this plt? Plt is nothing but the alias for this. See, it is something like, right, even in our native place, in our family, people they never use our the official name, right? They use some Babu, some short name, right, alias, right? Instead of using the bigger thing, right? See, if you don't use the alias, you need to type the entire command here, right? PLT, instead of PLT, you need to type the entire thing, right? The shortcut is the alias. That's the reason why I call it an alias. You can use an alias for this one because you need to use the package name. You need to prefix the package name with the function because this function may be available in some other packages also, right? So that's the reason why you need to prefix. Okay, plt dot x label. I'm going to give label, the x label, right? X label, and I'm going to give it's a function. Okay, what is x-axis all about? So give some context to it. I'm going to give some context by labeling them with some meaningful name, age and income, something like that. Okay, and then I am going to give some title, plt dot title, income by age. So this is very common in most of the reporting software also, right? They use x label, y label, and title. You need to specify x-axis name, y-axis name, title, everything, right? So and plt dot, finally we have something called plt dot show, and it's a function, right? You don't have to use plt dot show, right? Because if you don't use matplotlib inline, right, you have to use plt.show explicitly, okay, to demonstrate. See, now we got the x-axis, right? X-axis name, the label for x-axis age and y-axis income, and the title is income by age. But again, various options are available to specify the scale, value, everything, right? You can probably take a look at this and try to understand and explore all the options that are available, okay? Let me do one thing here. I'm going to give something like SNS. What is SNS? The alias for Seaborn. Seaborn is also an advanced version of Matplotlib. This is an extension of Matplotlib library. I'm going to specify white gray, right? So that all my charts background, it will have some kind of white gray. See, white gray, right? If you want, you can specify it. And here also we can specify it, right? So yeah, fine. So this one is helpful to find out, right? And to compare x-axis and y-axis exact value, right? And some people, they wanted to find out where exactly it intersects. That kind of situation, it will be helpful if you use the this one, the white grid, by setting it, okay? And for example, I want to use some bar plot. How can I use bar plot? I'm going to use the same value, plt dot plot. Instead of that, plt dot bar plot. And same thing, right? So age, income by age, you can copy paste it. Look here, right? So let's say in this case, oddly, we have few data, right? If you have millions of data, all you need to do is aggregate the value, sum of the age in this group, create a bucket, age bucket. In 3 years, 3-year-old, how many people are there? And 4-year-old, how many of them? 6, how many year old, and how many people are there, right? So in this one is kind of your salary, income, okay? But 3 year and 4 years, 6 years, they don't earn. Just for example's sake, I just use this one, okay? And next one is, we can use, we will see how to use histogram, okay? Income. It's all in terms of 10,000, 50,000, right? And then you have something called 15,000 and 20,000 and 18,000 and again 12,000, and you have something like again let's say 8,000, right? And 4,000 something, or 5,000 income. And I'm going to use plt.hist, hist of income, right? Yeah, income. Okay, so here it is not plotting it. 1 second. Yeah, it's plotting, right? Yeah, correct. This kind of your histogram, okay? 6, 8, 10, 12. Probably we can set the bins also. What is the bin? Bin is nothing but bucket, right? You can specify the bucket, and for example 0, 10, 20, right? So and 30, okay? Sorry, I did not specify the bin here, right? I suppose to specify, I can specify the bin, so bin here, okay? Yeah, bin. I specified the bin instead of showing thing, right? So 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 10 to 20, right? 0 to 5, 2 times is there, right? So 2.5 and 3 times, right? So the y-axis is this is the histogram. The y-axis is the one will have your count, okay? So yeah, this is the count. Always please remember, in the case of histogram, y-axis you will have a count, and in the x-axis this your variable will be plotted. So this is an example for univariate analysis. We have used only one variable, income. With that we plotted this one, right? But you might be wondering, so what value is plotted in x-axis and y-axis? In the here you mentioned about x-axis and y-axis values, but when it comes to histogram, all you need to specify just specify the x-axis value. Okay, the y-axis value will be determined automatically by the chart. The y-axis is nothing but the frequency distribution, how many number of times 5s are occurring, right? How many number of times or let me give 5, 10, 20. Okay, 5, 10, 20, right? So 5, 10, 20, right? So 5 between 5 to 10, how many number of observations are there, right? So 5 and 8, 3 and yeah, close to 3, right? 5 and 8, 3 values are falling here, and 10 to 15, how many values are, and 15 to 20, how many values are. This is nothing but count how many number of occurrences of values are there, right? Between 5 to 10, 5 to 10, 3 values are 1, 2, 3, right? 3. So that's the reason this is nothing but count. Okay, so in the histogram, remember, always in the y-axis you will have count. Okay, in the x-axis you will plot. Using histogram, you can plot only one variable. That is the reason why we call that as a univariate analysis. Univariate analysis. This is called your univariate analysis. Fine. So in the next one, what we will do is we directly jump into one simple case study, and let's try to understand with that case study how we can exploit the power of the data visualization. Okay. Just give me a second. I'm getting call from office. Okay, when today I'm working. Just give me a second here. I'll just.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, Raj. See, today I just shared everything, and I gave him the direction also. In spite of that, nothing is coming up. Okay, let us continue. Okay, and I just spoke to him. Fine. So we will start with one case study, simple use case or case study. With that, we will try to leverage the data visualization part in terms of gaining insights with the given data. So this is the problem statement. Let's say you work for a leading big box retailer like Amazon or the Walmart, somewhere, right? And as part of this company, you are working for their marketing division. Okay. As part of this marketing division, as a data scientist, they want you to explore the available data, right? The past data, current and past data, and also they expect you to recommend which all customers that you are supposed to target, right? I mean, the company is supposed to target. You also, after you do the data analysis, data visualization, you need to understand. You need to help the management or the business stakeholders to help them by recommending which all customer they are supposed to target. So, what is the whole objective of this exercise, right? By extracting the insights from the charts, by doing the exploratory data analysis, right, the retail company can better target their customers and better their channelize their marketing efforts, right? See, with the insights, whatever you give it to your business stakeholders, right, it can help them to strategize their marketing campaigns and come up with a budget for promotions. They can do budgeting, right? How much they are supposed to spend in advertisement or in the campaign, right? Marketing campaign. They can also understand their customers very well and how to retain them, right? With this analysis, it will help help the marketing team to build better strategies and can also use to attract more customers and retain the existing customers and increase their revenue, right? So that is the whole objective of this use case. Okay, let's say you are part of the marketing team and you are a data scientist or data analyst. They want, you are tasked to now perform some data analysis and come up with the insights, actionable insights, in terms of helping the stakeholders to optimize their spend and help them to budget their the spend, budget their spend. See, every year or every quarter, the senior management, right, they want to do some earmark some budget, right? So for this expenditure, I need to earmark this much money, right? So the analysis can help them to optimize their spend, and also it can help them to do budgeting, right? And also, it will help them to channelize their efforts at the right direction, right? Where they are supposed to spend, where they are not supposed to spend. And also they can also understand which customers are potential customers, which customers are non-potential customers, which customers are profitable, which customers are non-profitable customers. Can someone tell me, if I say non-profitable customers, what do you mean by non-profitable customer? From our experience, right?
They are not into. Okay. So non-profitable customers, right? They might do the business very rarely. And from a data visualization point, we can. Based on we can hold them or we can park them later for reaching the target.
Very good, right? So this is one example. Okay, so okay, can you just tell me what exactly mean by not a good customer? As you said, right, those do not spend much. Can we say they are not a good customer? See, we are running a retail shop. Okay, those customers. So I could see customers are purchasing. Listen, customer B and C, they come and purchase from my shop, but the amount that which they spend is not much. But they are frequent customers. They are frequently they come and purchase it from us. So can I still say those customers are not profitable customers or the potential customers? But their spend is not much.
But the person, who is keep on returning the product, making, he is buying the expensive product and returning back to the company. It may be, they are doing the activity as a practice. We can just justify, they are the bad customer.
Yeah, right. Yes, Vijay, right. Customers are frequently purchasing it, right. The amount which they spend is also less, but at the same time the return is also more, right. It is not that helpful, right. These customers are not good customers. One second, let me give some meaningful name. So now I'm going to use this data set called retail marketing, and even for this new batch, right, I came up with some other data set for interesting data set for this one. One second, I wrongly uploaded this file. You can use that one. Yeah, I should have used this one. Now I'm going to copy this folder name. Okay, you are not supposed to specify your Windows folder name. Please make sure that. So most of them, when they came for the classroom training earlier, right, they used to do that mistake. And here, I'm going to say it's a CSV file. Oh, here I upload it as a EXS, right? Let me just try with this one. Yeah, okay, that's the problem. Let me do one thing. A lot of issues are there. 1 second. Edit with Notepad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say .csv file. Yeah, we are done with this. We are able to import it successfully. That's what we need to be a bit careful. While you upload the file, make sure that you are uploading it as in .csv, or if you upload it with XLX file, read underscore XLX is there, right? Or Excel, read underscore Excel. For example, if you wanted to know what are the types of file that I can read it here, right? So what you do is simply pd dot read underscore press tab, underscore press tab. These are the types of files you can read it. Look here, I don't have XLS file, right? Excel is there, read underscore Excel. Right? We can use Excel also. Instead of uploading it as a .csv file, since I uploaded a .xlx file, I could have used read underscore Excel. Okay. And similarly, you have different types of files are available. Like Parquet is one of the popular files. This is the one used in the Hadoop system. Okay, Parquet. And Pickle is used for serialization. Right, and the SQL query, SQL table, read underscore table, and various options are available. Okay, and again, don't worry too much at this moment. How can I read the data from Hadoop file system or MongoDB? You don't worry. There are packages that are available as part of your Python, using which you can read those. That we will see it later. Okay. So now let us take a quick look at. Now let us try to understand this data. Okay. How many number of columns are there? So MKTG, this is my data frame, columns, right? I'll just go and give column, just press tab. Yeah, that's correct. So these are the columns are there. Overall 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 columns are there, right? Yeah. So most of the columns are categorical variable. Only few of them are numerical variable. For example, how do I check that? MKTG dot D type. Right, and press tab. For example, if you think, even I tend to forget this syntax. Is it a D type or D types, right? I just type D type and press the tab. It automatically, type yes here. Okay, that means this is the correct syntax. Now I'm looking the data type for these columns. Customer is integer data type and float. We can see the combination of integer and float here. All right. Okay, fine. Integer and float is here, and the age is, yes, it is an integer type, and customer ID something other. Okay, so now these are called your demographics information, age, gender of the customer, whether they own the house or not, and married customer or not, right, and whether they have children or not, right. So these are the columns are called demographic data, and here something called salary and the previous spend, and these columns tells, right, their behavioral pattern, right. So how much, salary is also part of demographic data, the amount spent and previous spent, right. These are called your behavioral data, customer behavioral data. And catalogs, how many number of catalogs that we send it to those customers. Catalog is something like brochure, right? We used to send it to the customer as part of promotional campaign, right? Even when we open our newspaper, right? So you can find some kind of notice, right? Flyers. So those kind of things, why they do it? As part of promotional thing, right? That's kind of a promotional campaign, right? They want to, whenever they introduce new product, or whenever they open a new branch in a specific location, to create awareness about their brand or their presence in their location, they send the brochures, right? And also in case of any special offer, they send it to those customers by keeping those notices inside a paper, right? Those kinds. See, catalog is kind of brochures, right? So for this customer, they send 12 catalogs, right? And this customer's salary is 16,400. He spent 218 rupees. And this customer 1,08,000, 108,000, right? 108,000. So 108K, right? That is what this customer's salary, but his spend is 26,000. But when I look at this 3,000, but just by looking at this data, just by eyeballing this, I can understand very clearly. So this customer salary is 108K. Just because his salary is high, his spend is also more compared to this guy. And when you look at this guy is also somewhat similar to this guy, but this guy's salary is a little bit lesser than this, but still his spend is more. Or is there any other factor which drives him to spend more, right? Apart from salary, he has 1 children, but this guy has 3 children, right? Children column, says how many kids each family has, right? This guy has 1 kid. So with this, I'm trying to understand: is it because he has less number of kids, he is spending more money in my retail shop? That could be the reason, right? That is one of the reason. That could one of the possible reasons, right? Spending more. Income is more. Initially, what we thought, right? When we compared these two guys, this guy's salary is more, and because of which he is spending more in my retail shop compared to this guy. Okay, salary is the factor or driving factor in terms of, or influencing factor in terms of spend, right? But when I look at this guy's salary is slightly, though it is lesser than this guy, but still his spend is little more than this guy. Could be another driving factor is salary and number of children, right? Because this guy, though his salary is more, he cannot spend too much in my retail shop because he has a lot of commitment for these 3 students, because he has to spend money for their tuition fees, college fees. Three kids are, right? College fees, school fees, term fees, right? Lot of things, right? Due to which they could not spend much compared to this guy. So salary and number of children might influence the amount spent, but still, by scratching the surface of this data, we cannot generalize everything. When we look at the data holistically, then we will get a concrete idea about the driving factors behind spending more money. Right? The whole objective of this one, this is a marketing data, this is the historical data or current and past data. With this, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to understand the potential customer segment. Which segment of the customers are more likely to spend in my shop? So that what I can do is, I don't want to blindly send whatever the catalogs we have it to all my customers. Let's say my customer base is 1 million. Blindly, if I send all the catalogs to 1 million customer, what will happen? The cost is very high. So on the one hand, the mailing charges, on the other hand, the printing charges. Per catalog, we spend $15. Right? Blindly, if I send it to every customers, not all the customers are going to buy, right? So some customers, they don't see, certain products are related to male, gender based, right? Certain products are related to gender, certain products are related to female and male, right? It's all gender based. Certain products are also gender based, right? Certain products preferred by female, certain products preferred only by or used only by male. Electric shaver will be used by male, right? Most of the cases, right? So in that case, if you send any catalog which is related to electric shaver to a female, do you think she will buy? No, right? So don't say, female, they buy it for their spouse or husband, right? But let's take for example in the case of single, male and female are single. Certain things are common sense. Right? I cannot send male related product to a female, right? So we'll try to filter my data or segment the data. Okay, so this is male data. These males are or females. These females are unmarried, and most of these females will prefer only female related products. If I send the catalog related to this female related products related to this segment, the chances are high that they can buy. But again, within that female segment, whatever the catalog that I send, there is no assurance they come and buy. Again, they have their own brand preference. Again, the cost priority. Some, within that category, females, they have their own priorities, right? So cost, they may have, they have some constraint with cost. They cannot afford buying expensive, costlier brand, right? So again, brand preference. So though they can afford, certain customers are very particular about brand. They are very brand specific customers. They have some kind, that is called brand affinity. Okay, they have more affinity towards a specific brand. And again, cost, various factors are coming into picture, right? So in this case, what I can do is, by sending the catalogs to the right person at the right time, can improve the customer's experience. At the same time, it can attract them, right? Or it can remind them to buy that item. For example, I want to give a gift to my friend, my boyfriend, okay, and for his birthday, okay, upcoming birthday. What I want to buy is, I want to gift him an electric shaver. But unfortunately, I forgot it, right? And when you send the brochure at the right time, right? So what will happen? Okay, last week I saw, or yesterday I saw, the catalog. There is a good discount is going on. There is a sale going on around electronics items, especially these items. Better you will order it. Right? So the whole idea here is, okay, that is one thing. And apart from this, by segmenting the data, we can target the customer. But again, segmenting the customer will not work out, right? Because my customer base is very big. Let's say my female customer base is 0.5 million. My female customer base is 0.5 million. If I send the catalog blindly to these customers, I will run out of money, right? My marketing budget is very shoestring, right? I was told to spend only $2,000, but I need to maximize the return. So in that case, I want to be very smart. So what I'm doing is, I want to do some kind of data analysis. Let me see, is there any way if I can cut down the marketing cost and try to target the right customers, right? That is what we are trying to do as part of this exercise. So before that, right, we wanted to understand the spread of this one. Okay, I'm going to use something called the hist function, right? Histogram function, amount spent. We have two numerical variable. For numerical variable only, you can use histogram, right? But using histogram, you can plot how many number of variables? Rishik, only one numerical variable or quantitative variable, you can plot it using histogram. Okay, this I am going to say bins is equal to 10, right? So you can say directly, you can specify the bins as 10, create 10 buckets. MKTG. Sorry. This is not a function, right? This is slicing operator. This is another way of fetching one specific column. Either you can use like this. What is that? For example, if you want to access a specific column, mkt.children, this is one way of querying a column from a table, data frame, mktg, sorry. Right? And another way of selecting the column is, you need the square bracket. Inside the square, but you need to specify the code. This is the one we traditionally use it. Right? So yeah, so that's the reason. See here I put parenthesis, that's the reason it was throwing error. Look here, this is a bin, right? So what does it says? When I look at the histogram, what does it say? Can someone tell me? The previous batch members are also there in this thing, right? Can someone tell me what kind of insight you can get it here? And also let me do one thing here, MKTG of amount spent dot mean I'm going to use it, average amount spent. Average amount spent is 1184, right? Somewhat, it is falling here, 1184. What does it say here? What can you understand? Majority of my customers, yeah, tell me.
Yeah, here the amount spent for the particular segment has been decreased down the line.
So in the case of histogram, in the y-axis, what value is plotted here? Count, right? Count, right?
Yes.
So what kind of insight we can get here is majority of the customer spend is somewhere $1 to probably we can say, right, $1,000. Majority of the customer, right? So 60 customers, the spend is between $500 to $1,000, right? So $1 to $1,000, right? 1 to 3 here, 500 to 1,000, 0 to 500, right? 0 to $500 spent by majority of my customers, right?
Okay.
And 500 to 1,000, right? So in general, what I can say is between 0 to $1,000 spent by majority of my customers in my shop, right, or in my website. The amount spent by the customers or majority of the customers are between $0 to $1,000. Only few customers are spending 4,000 and 5,000, right? And between 3,000 to 5,000 we can see, right, the spend is less, not much. So this is a right skewed data, right? Because the histogram is the tail is going abruptly, flattening abruptly from here to this one, right? It is right skewed data. That is what the inference we can make. The majority of the customers are spending between 0 to $1,000, or we can see, right, 0 to $1,000. Yeah, we can see, or 0 to $1,000, or we can say, right, 0 to $2,000 also we can say, right, or 1,500. 0 to 1,500. Majority of them are spending 0 to 1,500. The rest of them are not spending beyond 2,500, right? If you look at this one, right, how many number of customers are spending more than 3,000? If somebody is asking you, oddly few people are spending more than 3,000, or oddly few people are spending more than 2,500, right? So we can say that way. So that's what the pattern. See, as soon as you look at this, right, it is very clear, or if you look at these two things, right, bucket, for 0 to $1,000, majority of them they are spending, not beyond that they are spending it. But still we can see somewhere here, right, so 1,500 and 2,000, probably we can target these customers also. But again, can I blindly send the catalogs to all these customers? Right. So again, in order to answer to this question, we will try to explore this data further. Okay, what we will do is we'll try to use a box plot. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going back this and so own home. This column has 0. 0 means they don't have house. 1 means yes they have house. Married. 0 means they are not married. 1 means they are married. So what is close? Those customers living very closer to my shop. 0, right? 1 means they live very closer. 0 means they don't live closer. Okay, and children. This is not a this is also categories. Here some customer has 1 kid, 3 kid, and 1 kid. And what is previous customer? Whether this customer has previously visited? No, this is the first time he is coming here, right? And these customers already visited. How many times? 1 time. And how much this amounts they spent in the past? This is the one. And this one is matching somewhat, right? But this one is not matching. Though he visited only once in the past, right? This time we could see that he spent more. That is additional insight, right? See, as a data scientist or data analyst, you should be very good at understanding the data and the patterns that are lying in the data, right? You need to look at the data or analyze the data in different angles. Okay, so next one is I'm going to use another visualization package.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yes, yes. Go ahead.
So, is there any methodology or the format that we need to say, right? So here you are describing the about the positivity of the pattern that has happened. Whereas where I started is right. I told there's a downfall in the sales or something. So, is there any methodology or template that we need to start with a positive note and follow, or is there any procedure, sir?
Okay, so you're talking about the workflow, right? Workflow methodology. Where should I start? Where should I end? Right? See, when it comes to data exploration, usually what we do is, right, after you read the data, the next step is try to understand the given data is clean or not. Okay, if the data is not clean, you need to fix it. Okay, so what do you mean by clean or not clean? In case of any missing data, you need to fix it. In case of any outliers, in case of any duplicate values, in case of any data standardization related issues, you need to fix it. Okay, and the next step is, as part of workflow, yeah, you need to start do the analytics. Now we started the analytics journey just by plotting this variables, each and every variable, especially the numerical. We started with the numerical variable. We are doing the univariate analysis. We are trying to understand. So apart from this, we don't have any standard methodology which has some predefined name. Nothing is there. You have something like, in the case of software development life cycle, we have what is that, this one methodology is there, right? Even in the case of business intelligence, iterative incremental model, they use that methodology. Okay, but in this case, yes, what we do is we'll go step by step, we'll try to explore the data based on the past experience, business domain knowledge, and by looking at this data itself, right? Certain things are common sense. By looking at this, what kind of insight am I going to get? That's it. There is no predefined methodologies available, right? The usual or the typical way of starting the analytic journey is like this one. We import the data. In case of any data related issue, we will address it, because your data should be very clean. Okay, what you do is you clean the data. In case you have duplicate data for the same customer, the same record repeated one more time, right beneath this data, right, it is there, but you could not recognize whether this customer data is already duplicated, right? If you don't know that, what will happen is you will add the same customer's amount spent more than one time, right? Duplicate. So that can mislead you to think this customer is a potential customer, right? So there is no predefined methodology. First thing, we need to make sure that the data is clean, right? For that, we do some kind of preliminary data exploration. If you find any data related issues, you need to fix it. Simple example is just by look at this. So the salary is in the numerical data only, right? So for that, we use data type. We check the data type. Okay, salary is float and amount spent is float. Okay, so you don't worry about methodology. So this is the flow. Okay, so first what we do is we'll try to understand the distribution pattern of the data, right? So this data, for example, you have the amount spent. Is this the to get a quick idea, let's if something comes like this, right? If something comes like this and if that goes like this, right, positively is good. In that case, 50% of the customers are not spending high, only 50% of the customers are spending more, but between these ranges. Or we can see 50% of the customer spend is between 0 to 2000 or 2500. Remaining 50% of the customer spend is very less. That means majority of the customer spend is between 0 to 2000 only, not beyond that. You get a quick insight. This histogram is meant for data scientist only or statistician only, they can understand. Okay, this cannot be understood by non-statistician. Okay, fine. So only thing is, yes, to answer to your question, this is the workflow that we follow it to start the analytics journey. Okay, and the first thing is, first we understood what is the problem statement, right? So what we are trying to do is, see, the data the data set was given to us, and they want us to recommend which all customers they are supposed to target in terms of sending the catalogs. Because if they blindly send the catalogs to their entire customer base, they don't have money. Because as a marketing manager, your budget is just $2,000, but you cannot send or the brochure to each and every customers, right? 0.5 million into, even if you spend $1, right? Almost 55 lakhs you are supposed to spend, right? 500,000 you are supposed to spend, but your budget is just 2,000 only. Right? So is there any way if I can try to find out the most likely customers, like which customers are more likely to respond if I send the catalog, or more the potential customers. Okay? So if I can find out the potential customers with the given data set, so it can help me to target only those kind of customers, so that I don't have to waste money in sending the brochures or catalogs to blindly to all the customers. Okay, that's the way. Yeah, to answer to your question, this is the flow that we follow. But again, most of the things are common sense, and again, you should be familiar with the data, whatever you have. In case you don't understand certain columns, talk to the business stakeholders and try to understand what do they mean. This column is all about, right? So catalogs, what is catalogs is all about, what is close is all about, right? And talk to them, try to understand the context for these attributes, and then you proceed with the analytics. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm using a box plot, right? So in the case of box plot, right, I used the x-axis. If you want to plot the categorical with numerical variable, you can use box plot. Okay, so in this case, own home as 0 and 1 only. Okay, in this case, the box plot, what it says is, right, using box plot we can plot 5 number summary. The minimum value starts here. This line says maximum value. This is the minimum value, maximum value. So this is the median value, right? This is the median value. Just in the y-axis is salary got plotted. In the x-axis, own home dot plotted. So by looking at this, we can easily understand those customer own the house, their amount spent is more in my shop or in my website, e-commerce website or something like that, or in store, right? So those people own the house, their spend is more compared to those do not own the house, right? Their average spend of the owners, those who own the house, right, is close to 6,400 or 500 compared to these people are 4,000 but the 6,400. So that means these customers are potential customers. They are more likely to spend more money. If I send the catalogs to these customers, the chances are high these customers can buy because of affordability, right? And similarly, what we can do is salary, right? This is salary. Sorry, it's not amount spent, salary, right? This guy's salary is more compared to these people, right? Those people do not own the house, right? And again, so I just wanted to check when you look at this one, what other thing comes into your mind? See, when I look at this one, so what did I say? Those people own the house, their salary is more. Does that mean those people own the house, their spend is also more? Right? Certain things should come automatically, right? So don't worry, you will tend to develop this when you start do the analysis. Let's say if I talk with someone, if I say, right, those people who own the house, their salary should be very high. And does that mean their spend is also more, right? That is an hypothesis, right? I just want to validate. So when I validate in the own home, right? Obviously, yes, there is a correlation. Those people own the house, their salary is high, and again those people earn more, especially those who own the house, their spend is also more. Alright, so that is what we are trying to understand with this one, okay? And the next one is, also we will try to understand various charts that we can use it. We have something called count plot. For example, I use catalogs, right? Catalogs is there. You need to specify the data frame, MKTG, right? Count plot. How many number of catalogs, right? By looking at this, in 6 catalogs we sent it to 55 customers, and 12 catalogs we sent it to this much, this much, this much. Okay. And now is there any way if I can combine this with something else, right? Can I combine this with something else? Did I send more catalogs to those people own the house and those people with higher salary, right? So I can combine that also, right? So how can I combine that? So we have some option that is available in SNS, okay, the Seaborn package, using which you can plot it. We have something called hue. Hue option is available, using which we can find out. For example, amount spent, right? But I'm not sure if this one hue is available with box plot. Let us give it a try. There's something called, let's see if you want to plot more than one this thing, okay? Right, so here what I'm going to do is we want to know the catalogs also, right? Catalogs. No, it is not possible with this one. Or let me just try MKTG. Superb, it is available, right? It is available. So look at here, right? When you look at this one, the 24 catalogs, this colored, right? The pink colored, right? This is the one. When you compare this one here, right? We sent 24 catalogs for both owner as well as those do not own the house, right? But still we could see those customers, we sent more catalogs in the owner segment. They spend is more, right? And if you look at the green colored 118, right? Here what is the spend? $1,000, but here also not much, 1,200 or so. But when we sent more catalogs, 24, right, it went up to 2,200, double the time of this one, right? This is just somewhat closer to 1,100, but here we have 2,200. So, double the time of spent we could see here in this case. So, what we could understood here is, if I send more catalogs, the chances are high that these customers can spend more, right? So, they can spend more. The next thing which comes to my mind is, okay, so in this category itself, right, those who own the house, their spend is more, and again if I send more catalogs, the spend is also more. But now I want to understand within this segment, right, within this owner segment, does sex plays any role here, gender plays any role here, right? Let us try to understand what is the gender. We have gender column, right? Yeah, gender. Here I am going to use Q is equal to MKTG so you can combine 3, right? So look here, what is the insight? Now we are getting an interesting insight. When I look at this, when I compare both of this, right, owner and non-owner, I could see that here, right, the 1 is male, 0 is female, right? The male spend is more in both the segment. So I got additional insight, right, when I plotted gender along with these two. So what kind of insight? Now with that I could understood, compared to female, male owner spend is more. So in that case, I narrowed down my analysis, right? When I did the when I narrowed down the analysis, I got a new insight. It's very interesting, right? Initially I thought all the owners, they spend more, but still, right, within the owner category, only the male owners are spending more, but female owners spend is somewhat closer to this one, right, the non-owners. But still males are spending more, and in this case the male owners are saying. So what happened now? Let's say you have 2,500 customers are there. Here you have 5,000 customers are there, right? So here 2,500 customers alone we are going to send the catalog, so that my expense will be less, and the chances are high that these guys can respond to my catalog by purchasing it. Understood, right? This is very interesting insight, isn't it? So by combining additional dimension with the two-dimensional one, we got additional insight. It is a very valuable insight, right? With that, I'm able to let this 2,000, here you have 5,000 customers. Instead of blindly sending 7,000 customers, with my budget constraint, I can target only these customers. Even with my limited budget, if I target these customers, the chances are high that these customers can purchase it from me. Right? And we have something else called correlation plot. But before we get into correlation plot, so correlation plot is to compare the strength of two quantitative variable. We use something called correlation, and we will, before that, we'll try to use something called strip plot. Strip plot. See this, just compare these variables and try to find out if you are, what we do is we blindly, based on our intuition or past experience of the data, we try to do, and see here I combine these two columns, right? So here certain things you don't need a common, you don't need any predefined thing. So the next thing is when we looked at this data also, right, what we thought, this customer has more kit, and though these two guys' salaries are more or less same, right, but this guy's salary is more or less same, but it is slightly, though it is lesser than this guy, but his spend is more, maybe because he has only one kit, right? But here, though we sent more catalogs, right, but in this case we sent less catalogs only, just because but in this case we can understand very clearly, right, the catalog is not driving them to spend more compared to this customer. In addition to catalog, we have another factor that is called children. Since he has a less number of children, and salary is on par, slightly closer to this guy, he is able to spend more than this guy, right? That's a common sense, right? In a family, if you have more kid, the spend is not much, right? And the luxury items, something like that, right? Look at this. I have used something called strip plot. Strip plot also gives me the how scattered the data are within this one, right? Own home, yeah, I'm going to use this one here again. Not catalog, I'm going to use gender. Look here. So here own home, here the owner and non-owners, and also, right, the 01 says non-owner and owner, but this 01 says, the blue color one says female, one is male, right? And when you look at this, right, especially when you compare these two, let me just move this up, and where is that? Yeah, this one, right? I'm just going to compare this one with this, okay? So when I compare these two things, right, these two are more or less, and with this we are able to understand the male owners are spending more, right? But when you look at this spread of this data, right, it starts from here only, right? It starts from here only, but most of the owners, male owners, spend is somewhat here, right? Somewhat here. But still, the female also equally they are spending, right? Female also equally spending. Right, but when you look at this, right, you tend to think the female average is here, but this is the correct one only, because the median it calculates correctly, but we have some outliers are there, right, outliers. That's what few females only they are spending, but majority of the orange colors we can see. But still here also we can see, right, most of the females are scattered here, right. Females and males, they spend is, starting female also, if you look at, right, majority of them, right, between 4,000 to 8,000, 80,000, right, somewhat it is coming here. It gives you additional insight. But still, if you want to get a much better clarity, we have something like jitter equal to true. Yeah, the spread, it gives us the spread also, right? The strip plot gives the spread, how spread out the data are, right? So when I look at something like, you have something called jitter equal to true option is available in Seaborn. Yeah, what I will do is, I will better remove hue now. Yeah, gender, right, correct, let it be there. So it gives you the more detailed one, right, more detailed one, but still it is not much helpful. And what I am going to do is, I am going to use something else called swarm plot, okay, and I am going to use something called swarm plot. You just remember what are the type of charts that we discussed. Swarm plot. See, it is not that you are supposed to use all these plot, and but sometimes what will happen is, this can give you more insight, right, about the spread. Just by looking at one chart, you don't take any decisions, right? So by looking at the additional thing, so this gives you much better clarity compared to the strip plot, right? See here you can see that majority of the males are here, and females are also, right, yeah, few females are here and few females are. But when I looked at here, what I thought, the female and male, they're they are clustered between here to here, right, more female and male and female equally clustered more here, right, that is what I thought. But when you look at this, right, between here to here, only males are there, right, more males, only few females are there, right, only few females. But here little more females are there, but from here to here only males are there. This gives much more clarity than this one, right, and compared to strip plot and swarm plot gives more idea about the spread also, right, gives you more it gives additional information about the spread of the data within this itself, right. So but by looking at this, what we conclude here is, the owner, right, a male owner, their spend is more, right. But the next one is the kids. How many now is it, or is it because of the kids? For example, I cannot plot more than two variable in this chart, right. So what I am going to do is, I am going to use children now. Yeah, what initially I hypothesized was somewhat matching with this one. See, this segment in the non-owners, whether they have kid or not, right, their spend is not much, but still within this segment also we can see that those do not have children, their spend is more, and those have one child, their spend is also little, their spend is closer to $800 and somewhat $900 average spend. But when you look at the owners, right, owner, and those have 3 kids, their average spend is very less. This is the median, right, median. But here we could see some kind of skewness here, right skewed data here, right, the data is right skewed, it is less one. And when you look at this one, right, 0 kid, those do not have kid, their spend is more. Those have 1 kid, their spend is slightly lesser than this one, and those have 2 kids, their spend is on par with these people. So what we are saying is, what we are going to conclude is, in the case of owner category, those do not have children, their spend is more, right. So owner could be a single or he could be a married, right, married. But again, we have something else called married column. When we keep thinking about this, right, we tend to think, yeah, we have column called married. So maybe, yeah, so now the question is, first what we will do is the gender we understood, right? First of all, we wanted to know whether married or single, their spend is more, right? Look at here. So in this case, 0 is unmarried and married. So with this, we are able to understand very clearly, married earners are spending more. But again, married earners in the sense male or female. The married also male or female, we want to see it, right? So for that, what we tried, with this chart, we concluded, gender, right? Most of the male spend is more, right? We can compare and relate with this one. By comparing and relating this one, right? We can say, okay, majority of them are male married people. They are the ones spending more. So what we will do is, and again, right, and male married owner and have 0 or 1 kid, they are the one spending more. So in that case, if I send the catalog to those customers, the chances are high that they can come back and or they can come back and buy, right? When they see the catalog, they might tend to come and buy. So, right? That is what we can, that's the insight we can get it from this data, from this visualization, right? And also we have different types of charts are available, and we have something called factor plot. We have something called factor plot, right? We can use that one also. Count plot, factor plot, dist plot, right? Likewise, many types of factors are. For example, I'm going to use something like SNS dot factor plot. I used it long back, and for example in the x-axis I'm going to catalogs also, right? Catalogs, and also we understood, right, the more the catalogs we send it, the response is good, especially in the case of owners. And if we target the male owners, those have 0 and 1 kids, with more catalogs, the chances are very high that they can spend more. Now it is very clear, isn't it? This is how you need to perform analytics, okay? Especially the data scientist is supposed to be very good at storytelling. Own home, own spend, right? And for example, column is equal to own home swarm plot. I just combined with this one, okay? G dot here Q, right? First let me check if this works. Any syntax issue? X-axis, Y-axis, data frame, and hue, and column name I've given, right? So column name I've given. Good, so no issues, right? So catalogs, what I'm going to do is here, and Q dot, I'm going to use set is something called xtick labels. Set, sorry, not this one. Let me give some negative value here. Let me see if that. Okay, anyhow it is not much helpful. Okay, so this one, right, Q SNS vector. So in the x-axis catalogs, and here also catalogs, and here also catalogs. See, it's separated, it create two different charts, one for owners and one for non-owners. And within this, right, you get a different thing, right? Catalog, right? By looking at this 24 catalog and 18 catalogs, when you send some outliers, only few customers they responded when they sent 18, but 24 also, right? Majority of them they purchased between $500 or $200 to $2,200, right? But here also we can see, right? But look here, when we sent more, the general outlook is when you send more catalog, the response is also more, right? They tend to buy compared to those who own the house, those do not own the house, okay? And here when you look at this, here also some outliers are, ignore these outliers, okay? And look at only, even this is an outlier, okay? Look at this one, right? So 18 catalogs compared to 24, right? 24 is, they spend more already, right? So from year to year they spread, most of the people they spend between $700 to up to $3,000, right? So 24, with this also we can understand very clearly, more the catalogs you send it, especially to the ONS mail, right? You can get more response from them. So these are the different types of charts. You can use it in real time, because you cannot decide based on one chart alone, right? You need multiple different types of charts to make some or base your decision, okay? For example, in the case of strip plot, let you know, had you used only strip plot, right, what would have happened? You would have thought majority of the male and female, this trend is between these two things. But when we used a swarm plot, right, it tells you very clearly, right, the majority of the males are cluttered somewhere here and here, only few females are here and there, right, within this range. And apart from this, we have something called dist plot. I was talking about dist plot. Joint plot is also there, okay? And MKTG dot amount spent. So this can give you the dist plot, distribution plot. IT is not working. Okay, dist plot, right? And then we have something called joint plot. As the name suggests, right? So what did I say? If you have to use an histogram, you can use only one quantitative variable, right? But when you use joint plot, you can use more than one quantitative variable. Still you can see two histograms, right? You can combine the histogram. Look at, this is the one is related to amount spent, and this is the one is related to salary. This is salary and this is your amount spent, right? So here this one, the scattered one, is called a scattered plot, right? Scatter plot. This is called as scatter plot. To find out the relationship between two variable, we use scatter plot. Bivariate analysis. This is called your bivariate analysis, right? You can use scatter plot also separately, and here, right? So bivariate analysis, univariate analysis, and bivariate analysis. This is where bivariate analysis. But in the case using joint plot, you can plot two histogram in one go. In addition to the histogram, you can plot scatter plot also. 3 charts. One is scatter plot, 2 histograms. We are able to plot it in one chart, right? So here, what is the purpose of bivariate analysis? So these two are numerical variable. We wanted to find out, are there any relationship exists between these two variables, right? Does salary and amount spent has any relationship with these two variables? So we can see that most of the observations or the records are cluttered somewhere here. If you draw a line here, it goes in the upward direction. There is a positive relationship. As the salary increases, right, the spend also increases, right? If you look at this one, the amount spent, as a salary. But if here $1,000 and $500, right, the spend is very less, right? Or only few people they are able to buy, right? But $1,000 when you see, right, majority of them are able to, as the salary increases, the spend also increases. So there is a positive linear relationship exists between these two variables, right? There is a positive linear relationship exists between these two variables. This we are able to understand with the help of salary variable, okay? Sorry, with the help of scatter plot. With the help of scatter plot, we are able to understand, are there any relationship exists between these two variables? Yes, there exists a relationship between these two variables. Apart from that, we are able to view this one. If you look at this one, the amount spent is positively skewed, and if you this one is your salary, right? Salary. This is kind of your if I look at this, right, this is also positively skewed, right? Salary is also positively skewed, and this is also positively skewed, right? And apart from this, we have instead of using this one, right, what I can do is I have something called this one, heat map. We have something called heat map, right? Heat map. And those of you used Tableau, you must be familiar with them. So for example, I'm using something called mktg.core function. Core function will compute the correlation between the variables, okay? And I'm going to plot this one in a chart called heat map. In the case of heat map, I'm going to use core, okay? Look at here. So with this, how to interpret this one? This is what your this kind of baseline one. As you move up here, right, the relationship is very good. One, when you see light colored, the relationship is very good. As the color becomes very dark, that means the relationship is not good, right? With this core function, see, I plotted the correlation between the variables in a heat map, and here I can give unknown also. Unknown equal to true. We have something called unknown equal to true is there. You can use shift enter also to run this cell. Yeah, unknown is there, right? So the unknown equal to true gives the value for the correlation. For example, the light colored one, right, salary and amount spent, these two variables are correlated. There is a relationship existing between salary and amount spent. That is what we were able to understand here with this. But here it gives me, it quantifies the correlation. See, Americans, they ask this, right? If I say something like there exists a relationship between salary and amount spent, and the next question what they ask is, can you please quantify? Yes, with the help of core we can quantify that, right? And again, unknown equal to true is an option. It displays the correlation, how strong the relationship. These two are correlated. How strong? 0.66. There is higher correlation. Any value which is closer to 1, that means good. And when you look at previous spent, it's also somewhat 0.5, it is also correlated. And when you look at this one, 0.47, right? Married is moderately correlated with this one. Close is negatively correlated, right? Negatively correlated. Again, we can do that analysis also, right? We can do visualization. Those people live closer to your shop, spend more, or those live far from your shop, right? When you look at the columns, right, you can do by combining two variable with the target variable. See, in this case, amount spent, this is the one we are interested. By combining the own home and amount spent, combining gender, own home, amount spent, and own home and children, and this one, right? By combining two variables or three variables together, we'll be able to understand or we will be able to gain some insight, right? By combining all these things, we can draw holistic, we can make a holistic decision, right? So this is the core function is helpful to understand the relationship between the variable. And if you want to quantify core function, right, that is the one is very much helpful. Or you can use simply the scatter plot using joint plot. So when you plot this, simply you can say there is a relation between these two, but again they'll ask you how strong the relationship. You can use core function and plot it in a heat map, and by using annotation, right? Annotation equal to, it will plot this one also, okay? correlation value. 0.66 is correlation value. Salary is correlate with amount spent. The correlation value is 0.6. That means 0.6 is, if you round it up, 0.70. 0.7 is closer to 1 somewhat, right? So the relationship is good. There is a strong relationship between these two. That's how we can say. So count plot and strip plot, swarm plot, and we have something called violin plot is also available. And we can use violin plot also. Violin plot is also very much helpful in terms of understanding the spread, where the values are cluttered together, right? We can see it with the help of that one. So we have something called SNS dot violin plot. So we can say, right, MKTG within the bracket, let's say, we have something like gender, or let's take home. This is violin plot, right? So with the help of violin plot also we can understand very clearly, those who own the house, their spend is more, but here the spread is too wide here, right? It tells us the spread very clearly here, right? So majority of their amount spent is fall between this one only, right? Majority of them, only few of them, right, goes up like this, very thin line, but the spread is majority of them we can find it here. Here also you can see the box plot inside of this one, right? The median is here, the median is here. The median spend is much more, much more than this one, but the spread is wide here, but the spread is more here, right? But this one gives additional idea, right? So this one tells me majority of the more spend is between this one only, right? That's what we can understand here. Violin plot. And we have something else called we have something called subplots. We can plot subplots also. And what we can do is we can do some kind of aggregation, right? Based on the aggregated value, we can plot the data here. Okay, we know the group by everything, using which also we can do some. And apart from this, we have something called facet grid. Okay, we have something called facet grid, that is very powerful one in Python. It is something similar to in ggplot facet trap, right? In the case of R. And Rishik, don't get confused if I talk about R and all, okay? And mktg comma call equal to, let's say I'm going to use, right? Because in the case of the category variable, which has more value in its category, right? Category, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to map this one with plt dot scatter. Yeah, scatter is available. I'm going to say so your call, it is not working, right? This is the syntax, or else let me do one thing. mktg but I still remember it. Anyhow, I will check this syntax and I will let you know tomorrow session, okay? This is a very powerful one. Unfortunately, it is not working here, okay? So in this case, I need to do some kind of aggregation, it seems, okay? In the facet grid, you need to do some kind of, the aggregation. What I'm going to do is, otherwise, I do one thing, agg mkt, your mktg dot group by. So what is group by does? Group by is aggregating the value, right? Aggregation. That's what we discussed in the last session. I don't know how many of you watched my video. Group by category, right? And here I'm going to give let's say amount spent, right? Amount spent dot sum. Key error category. What is sorry, yeah, mktg dot group by, right? This is my data frame name, and okay. Since it's a single variable, maybe it is throwing that one. Sorry, your category is not there. Sorry, I'm making, see, it is telling me very clearly. I'm just thinking, see, it's not catalog. I thought of typing catalog. See, first of all, this column is not there, right? Obviously, catalog is also there, right? Catalog is there. And why is that? It says key error, catalogs. Okay, maybe catalogs. Yeah, catalogs, correct. This is wrong column. If you use wrong column name, it says key error, right? That itself clearly says, you know, see here I made a mistake. That's the problem here. Not in index. Catalogs are not in index. Okay, maybe there's some other problem. So now we are not getting key error, right? So still it says key error. KG. Okay, this is not required in this case. Yeah, one positional argument y. Let me do one thing here. I will use something else called let's say salary. Good, it's working fine. Look here. So what happened in the case of facet grid, right? What it does is it takes the subset of the given column, right? It takes the subset of the given column, and each subset it tries to plot the given x-axis and y-axis value, right? So amount spent and salary, these two are correlated, and in the category, right? So correlated scatter plot. Instead of scatter plot, you can use something else also, right? You can use bar. Let me use bar here. It's not coming out correctly here. And each catalog, right? In the case of 6 catalogs and 12 catalogs, 18 catalogs and 24 catalogs, right? There is a strong relationship exists between amount spent and salary here, right? There is a strong correlation. Here also strong correlation, but here slightly scattered here, right? Here also it is slightly scattered, and that's what we can see it here, right? But the whole idea of the facet grid is okay, let me do one thing. Instead of this one, right, let me use SNS. See, SNS let me do one thing. SNS dot bar plot, right? Yeah, bar plot. Look here, if you don't know the syntax, just press tab since you have the code completion facility, it tells us very clearly, right? But here I have used the two variable. Yeah, so in this case, right, I don't have to use the two variable here because I'm not finding the relationship between the two variable. I'm going to restart it here. Yeah, amount bar plot, right? So bar plot, it tells us very clearly, right? So between 0 to 1800 they spent, right? The spend is this much. But in the case of catalog 6, between 0 to 500 only they spent, right? When you sent 12 catalog, this is what has happened, 1500. But when you sent 18 and above, right? But more the catalog, the spend is also more. That's what 1400, right? You're about 1000, yeah, 1700 or 750. So with a single command, facet read, it's a very powerful one. Each catalog, right? If you want to see the amount spent with the bar plot, right? It's a very good one. So this is kind of a median kind of a value, the middle value. I think this is a vertical scatter plot, I think so. If I specify the orientation, right, orient equal to L, I think so. What you can do is yeah, so another advantage of this one is, right, shift and tab. If you press shift and tab, right, by keeping the cursor in the somewhere here, right, it will give you the help also, the syntax also here. Okay, just scroll down here, but here it is not much helpful, right? Here g dot map func arcs and star arcs and stars are right. So here here I don't see anything here, right? So yeah, g dot map, or let me do one thing, let me just check here. All I need is I need to have the, yeah, here we can get this, right? So all I need is I want to see the orientation. Can we see orientation here? Can someone, is that visible to your eye? And no, right? In the case bar plot, yeah, bar, SNS bar, there only it is coming. Maybe it is a horizontal thing, or if we can plot it like, orient equal to H. Here something called orient equal to H. Sorry, vertical, right? So you can give like this. Maybe, yeah, it's not a correct syntax. Yeah, vertical, very good, right? Correct. What I guessed was correct. Orient equal to V. So vertical. Vertically, when you look at, right, so the average amount spent in the case of category 20, catalogs 24, right, somewhere it is falling here, right? So if you have more catalog, supposing you, let's say you are using facet grid on month column, 12 month, you wanted to see the amount spent month wise, right? This is a very useful thing, right? All you need to just specify the month column, amount spent, bar plot, and orient equal to V. That's it. You can also use it in your existing data, right? If you are working in any office data, right? If you have access, if they allow you to use this one, right, you can start do lot of analytics with this one. In one single command, right, it draws as many catalogs as possible. Try to plot the bar plot for amount spent. But here, the bar plot size is very big. So this is how you can use it. Right? Yeah. So today, yeah. So net, what kind of what kind of message you can take it up with your stakeholders? The simple thing is send more catalogs for male owners, especially those have 0 or 1 kid. You can send them more given your budget. If you have more budget, you can send it to all the owners, especially the married owners. You send it blindly, okay? But still within this, we can, we were able to identify males are spending more compared to female. But again, compared to the look here, the married people, right, gender, right, the male, they are compared to this one, right, owner females, they are spending more compared to these people, right, but the spend is slightly more, not much difference. Here they are spending 500, these people are spending 1000, but here these guys are spending 1500, right? But still, if your budget is little more, you can target this segment of customers, because if you spend, there is no point in sending contacting them, because they are not potential customers, right? No, those do not own house, they are not potential customers. But again, by looking at various charts, we are able to understand the holistic, we were able to get the holistic idea. I have another assignment, okay, I will give it to you all. You can try it out probably next week, weekdays, and you can submit it probably before next weekend, so that can help you out to solidify your understanding about how to perform the analytics, right, and what kind of insight, what kind of story you can tell, right, with the manual. Storytelling is one of the important aspect. It is again art and science, right? Not everyone can good at that one, but still you can develop over a period of time. Alright, so with this I'm going to wrap up today, and tomorrow we are going to continue with a real-time scenario, which is going to be more related with the data imputation. It's also one of the key aspects of data analytics. Okay, not only it is specific to Python, Rishik, okay, it should be taken care as part of any kind of project, okay, any kind of analytics project. Alright, okay, with this I'm going to wrap up. I will share the one second, the recorded video shortly, okay. Any questions so far? Vijay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hang on for a moment, okay? Let others can drop off, okay? And only if we can remain here in this call, right? We will spend 5 to 10 more minutes time to understand where you got stuck with the initial topics, okay? So others can probably I'll request others can drop off, okay? So only Vijay, please be on the call, okay? The rest of you, if you have any questions, please WhatsApp me. And again, with respect to the recorded videos, other logistic issues, I will come back to you later. Even from yesterday, we were having some issues with the recorded video receiving from GoToMeeting. I'm working with them, but still, that's the reason today I recorded my local system. Okay.